It's time for Market Explainer, your number one business news podcast. Hosted by Danny and the big man. And it starts right now.
So this next one is, it's two stories, but it's one segment. Two stories, one segment. It's the new name of our podcast. Actually, I'm kidding. FedEx is testing autonomous cargo flights starting next year, and they can carry up to 500 pounds in packages between depot stops at a time. And then our good friends over at Alpha, which, as you know, is the parent company of Google, is by the time you are watching this, they are currently doing last mile drone delivery in Dallas with quadcopters, delivering goods from from Walgreens and other participating locations. So the question I posed is, have they solved last mile delivery? And the big quandary of all of these logistics companies is, how do you solve last mile delivery? Now, again, I've always believed that the United States Postal Service is a criminal organization because it robs the taxpayer of their money and delivers poor service. And so I always believed that the solution was that a private entity should buy them. And guess what? I always felt like a company like Amazon coming in and buying USPS, killing off all of its unnecessary parts, keeping distribution centers and last mile delivery, could actually put that to use. And I think we're learning that the reason they didn't do that is because they're probably going to be just delivering things via drone, where I think a large UPS style truck pulls up into a region and, smaller drones get out of this, fly out of a sunroof and just come and pick, sort, and deliver. You're laughing now, but what I'm saying is the future. Listen, we are living in the nightmare foretold by the TV show Parks and Recreation. Like the part where Ron Swanson, they wrote the Ron Swanson character on Parks and Rec to be a caricature of libertarians. But libertarians go, yeah, no, we like Ron Swanson. Like,
Yeah,
you thought that was a character of us? You thought that was a character of us?
No, that is us. That's
us. Like walking up to the park and saying, "Hey, you need a permit to do that." And he just pulls out a piece of paper and says, "This is my permit." Like that's something we would do. That's not a joke. Like we believe that. Like going to work for the government so you can slow it down. I believe in that.
Look, this is the last mile, right? That term shipping companies use to basically get it from the last place it's in their warehouse to you. Right. It's not literal mile. It's wherever the warehouse is in your area, right? That last mile is always the hardest part because that's where it branches out into the most places, right? That's where the mail has to get it to your house, and what a post person, I don't even know what the term would be in today's world, but post person gets you all of your mail, right, and stuff like that. That is the last mile. Look, and this is an idea that's been around for a decade now, right? We all know that drones have existed for a long time. They've been trying to figure out how to automate them to a point that we can deliver packages the last mile, as you say, so that they don't have to pay Johnny Joe Bob to drive the truck and deliver 3 packages to this neighborhood, 5 packages to the next neighborhood, and yada yada, right? So they would much rather do it on demand. It would cost them less money, by the way, as a company, because they don't need drivers and stuff. Now, they'll never necessarily, unless Elon Musk robots work out, do it entirely, right? Because every machine, every whatever is going to have a weight limit, right?
Yeah, the human component. And the thing to get into with drones is they need, most of these drones operate on a battery. Well, the heavier the battery, the faster it drains because it's weight. So,
And look, and all of these are going to have, so currently the company Wing, which is this company that it's Google also owns Wing. It's one of the people that they purchased, one of these companies they purchased. And it's starting in North Dallas, places called Frisco and Little Elm. They're both in North Dallas, right? North of Dallas. I think it's a very interesting list of companies they're partnering with to actually have products go out to people. It's Walgreens, Bluebell ice cream, which if you've never had Bluebell is the best ice cream in the country.
I don't know about that.
Easy Vet and Texas Health, right? So kind of an array of things. But essentially what they've agreed to do is take their equipment, these drones, these small quadcopter drones. They're going to put a big batch of them outside of certain stores, right? Walgreens stores, whatever.
Yeah.
They're going to have the employees of that company, kind of like what uh, parking lot delivery is for Walmart, HEB, grocery stores right now. They're going to have an existing Walgreens employee box that up into a box that's given to them by Wing. They're going to walk out. They're going to hang that box on the drone apparatus. They're going to let Wing know that, hey, this is ready to go. Currently, these are not autonomous drones. These are being driven by someone, and whoever that drone driver is for Wing will then power that device to wherever it's going and come back. Now, that all being said, this does deliver. One of the questions about the original Amazon drones that they tried out is Amazon had to land, release the product, and then take off again, which, if you know anything about flying anything, landing and taking off are the two scariest parts because it's the most often place things can break. Right.
And if you remember back to an event that occurred in the fall of 2001 in the United States, they said one of the guys went to a pilot training center and said, "I don't even know how to land this thing," and that was the red pilot training center, by the way, miles away from my parents' original home. Hilariously.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Okay. Small world. But in this case, Wing has developed essentially a tethering system, so they never land. They hover, they tether it down to the ground when that resistance stops. So there's no landing, and it eliminates that as an issue, both battery power, and all that stuff. So they're going to try this out. And look, DFW is a great place because it's spread wide out, right? So you can bypass, right? The whole idea is if they can get it there, they can just start spreading it out to more in Dallas and Dallas and Dallas,
Listen.
Fort Worth.
Right. And then it's not a lot of hills, right? It's pretty flat.
Right. It's all cattle land, right? It was all Great Prairie, right? So it's all flat. There's not a, you know what I mean? And because they're doing this outside the city of Dallas, which nobody lives in the city of Dallas, everybody lives outside of Dallas.
People live in the city of Dallas.
But not most. If they say they live in Dallas, ask them what part of Dallas. They'll tell you where they're actually from.
Carrollton.
Right.
But the people who live actually in Dallas proper, they just moved here from California. They paid $1 million for a
lot that
somewhere.
Used to be an industrial complex or whatever. Yeah, absolutely. The other part of this story is also in this related. It's just not the last mile. They're looking and trying to get. They finally got commercial authorization, but this is a product that it doesn't exist yet, right?
No. So FedEx will be doing. They will be trying this out next year. These are autonomous drones, and what is it called? The Chaparral.
It's Chaparral C1. Chaparral, and I only know that because here in Austin we used to have Chaparral Ice. At least that's how we pronounced it, Chaparral Ice.
So Elroy Air. So the reason this is all interesting is we've been talking about on the show Toyota and other companies investing hundreds of millions of dollars into autonomous drone taxi, these things where we're going to put people in it. And, we even did a story a couple of weeks ago about some Swedish company that, you can buy the electric quadcopter that can go up in the air for 8 minutes, but it only holds a 182-pound person. So it's like one American thigh can go up in the air without the human being.
Yeah.
But the thing about this is that this is the actual application of that device. That EV, that vehicle this is the application of it, is delivering goods. We all got used to pre-2020. I was already like, why would I walk into this? Like everything that I buy at Walmart on a every 2-month basis, my deodorant, soap, all that stuff, I can just get Amazon to deliver it, and it's cheaper in most cases. Or I walk into one Walmart, they don't have the lotion I use, so I have to go to another Walmart. Already I've blown the operation.
Pre-Panini, I was getting there was certain product. It was getting to the point that I could get things in hours instead of days, right? And that was pre-Panini, and Panini's kind of. I'm sure they'll eventually get back to that, right? It's all algorithm based and product based, and that last mile, as you said, right?
Yeah. So I used to live up in Austin in a third floor walk up, and I hurt my foot, and I started getting Amazon Fresh deliveries because I was like, I can't go buy groceries. It's like I could, but it's like I got a limp and then all this other stuff. And I was like, well, hold on a second. All I had to do was buy $30 worth of groceries and they delivered for free and I tipped the guy $5. And I don't have to go down to HEB and stand in the line and do all sorts of stuff. So why was I going to the store?
Right. Well, so in this one, so the wing is for that last mile. This one, in this
Yes.
case, is being developed. Uh,
Right.
and I say being developed because this is, again, something that doesn't currently exist, but they're hoping to test it out this time next
Right.
year. But
Right.
it's essentially, instead of being that last mile, it's um, 500
Warehouse to
pounds of
warehouse.
load, right? We're
Yeah.
talking about 10 blades. We're talking about, essentially, they're calling it a drone, but we're talking about a mini plane, right?
Right. But
That's
it's
that's
vertical takeoff
it's vertical takeoff, so you don't need
and it's
airports or anything like that.
autonomous.
It's autonomous, but we're talking about 500 pounds a pop. Now,
Yeah.
we're going from, uh,
Single item delivery with the wing
yeah, but what am
product.
I thinking of? Where you store all warehouse? I'm sorry. We're
Right.
talking about going from one warehouse to another warehouse. We all know because of the last 2 years what happens when the logistics of getting things from one place to another breaks down,
Breaks down.
right?
Yeah.
We all know that at this point. We all know what happens
Right.
when that doesn't happen. Now, if we can get products, because this is the real use of drones, by the way, they do
Right.
not want to be, they do not need the $50 that you're going to pay to get in an air taxi to go from the front of your house to work. They don't want
Right.
that money. They'll
No.
get it eventually, but
Right.
why would they want that money when FedEx, Amazon, and everyone else would pay for their
Right.
autonomous drones to not have to sit on a highway in a truck for 3 days, and when they
Right.
could literally fly it direct as the crow flies, and it
Right.
takes 6 hours instead of 3 days, right?
Correct.
It doesn't
So
matter if it's 500 pounds a pop.
right, and the other matter is that's 500 today. Like they're saying it'll carry 500 right now. By 2024, it'll probably be 1,000 pounds. And if you can drop the thing at 1,000 pounds and you do all the math of the trucks, the maintenance, all this other stuff, you can put 10,000 of these in the sky for what it costs to put 15 trucks on them.
And you would have to put tens of thousands to actually make this effective in any way.
Correct.
I mean, when
Yeah.
you think about the amount of product that any company, whether
Yeah.
it's FedEx, UPS, any of them, even the smallest carrier, it would
Right.
take thousands of these to at 500 pounds a pop. Like it
Right.
would take a lot, right? So
Yeah.
to get them this, and oh, by the way, is, and I think Danny and I predicted this, if this is, a step in the future, it's also using a hybrid electric engine, which I
Yeah.
think, Danny, didn't
Is
you and
it
I
is
say that
yeah, of course.
that was
Because
the future, was hybrid
yeah,
engines? And
the hybrid electric because you're never going to get to a place, at least in the next 15 years, is my belief, where the batteries are light enough and store enough juice to where you can actually get some meaningful use out of it. Whereas if you put a tiny internal combustion engine that is charging the battery, all of a sudden you have a useful item. There's a lot of utility to that. Again,
Mhm.
I'm a car guy, so I want to hear lots of noises. I don't care about fuel economy, big burnouts. That's where I'm coming from. But I'm separating what I desire from the reality, which is hybrid electric is the way to go.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. I do find it a little curious, being from Dallas myself, that both of these companies are trying to start out in DFW. I'm kind of curious, and I didn't get a chance to look at in this, whether Dallas is trying to, certain places out there make it much easier for companies to do certain things.
Of
And they
course.
do it by tax incentives or whatever.
Right.
I wonder if Dallas is trying to get like, dip that toe into, hey, you want this technology, our cities are going to be
Right.
more lenient about use of our airspace, right?
Right.
These kind of things.
And that's probably true. It is Texas. We are rapidly turning into California, which is unseemly to someone like me who came to Texas to get away from that kind of nonsense. But the lenience to allow this kind of stuff is part of what makes Texas a place to move, which is
It's
one
a
of
very
the
business friendly state. It
yeah.
really is.
And here's the thing: if you're not business friendly, you're not people friendly. That's always my view. But anyways, I just thought this was we're going to keep following stories like this. Autonomous drones, autonomous electric flying vehicles. There's this what a VTOL, vertical takeoff is the
Yes. Vertical takeoff
and
something.
landing.
Yeah, and landing. There you go. But this, if you want flying taxis one day, autonomous taxis, and that stuff. This is what you have to hope happens first. There are a lot of people out there that do. You have an entire current generation that my children are in, right? The alpha generation that could probably never drive and they would be okay. Like
that's sad.
If there was autonomous cars right now, look, I have, my kids are 14, 13, and 13, but I know people that have kids obviously 18, 19, 20 years old.
Right.
At least half of the 18, 19, 20-year-olds I know don't have a driver's license.
Yeah, no, my nephew is 18 and does not have a driver's license, and I cannot. And now it's to the point where everyone around was like, just please go get this. It will make everyone's life easier. And I'm like, I had to bend over backwards to get my parents to let me get my license. And I didn't realize that if all I did was just waited 6 months, he would flip the tables and would turn the tables on them. And they're like, oh my goodness, you need to do this.
And if he's like that at 18 right now, imagine what your nephew that was just born not too long ago, right? When he turns 18, right?
Yeah.
They're going to not want it at all, right? It's just an inconvenience to them.
I'm a little more hands-on with the younger nephew.
You're gonna get the car into the car,
Already got them. Already brainwashing with car toys and car noises, and and
my boys are all up in that. I know. Am I old enough to get my oldest will turn 15 this year, and he's already all up in the. Can I have my driver's license, my permit?
Oh my goodness! If you guys lived further out in the country, could you get a license right now?
Technically, yes.
Okay.
I had a ranch license when I was 9. So yes,
Texas, gotta love it. All right,
what's our last story?
Our last story, we're gonna jump into it, is about Garyvee, one of my favorites. But first, I want to tell you about Avenue Lucky. Avenue Lucky is my agency. We develop websites and provide done-for-you marketing services. You can go to avenuelucky.com and check all of our services out there, and learn a little bit too about some of the other in-house projects that have been standouts as sponsors of the show.